Welcome to the IDP Start Sit Show for Week 18. We know that there's not a lot of people that play Week 18, but we are here for those that are. And I'm joined as always by the supremely talented Sean T. Sean, Sean, how are you doing today?
Man, I appreciate you inflating my ego like that. I'm doing pretty well, Ricky. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic. And of course, you can find Sean at Sean8386. And you can find me, Ricky Rodrigue, at RickyRod66. And this is a very interesting week, Sean, from the standpoint of when you take the chance of playing in week 18 and you make those decisions at the beginning of the year, you just never know how things are going to turn out in terms of which players you have available or that you won't have available, right?
Absolutely. So we had an IDP only league that went the full 18 championship. Was that last week, and it became such a cluster that we voted it up a week. But traditionally, it went the full season. But too many good teams were getting screwed over that last game because players were sitting or IR'd for no real reason, and it just became a bit of a hassle. So we moved that up a week. Still have a couple that go the full 18, and again, it becomes anybody's game that last week.
Yeah, so I made a quick cheat sheet here this morning getting ready for the show. And by the way, we are taking questions, folks. If y'all want to get your questions in, go ahead, pop them into the comment section. We'll be taking a look at them shortly here. But teams resting starters this week. You have the Buffalo Bills, who apparently Josh Allen might get 2 or 3 snaps just to keep his consecutive start streak saved.
Yeah,
The Chiefs, the Rams, and the Eagles, all of those are going to be resting key starters. And, whether it be offense only or offense and IDP, losing some of the key players that you had on some of those teams that have propelled you to this point just really hurts. So I'd encourage teams that are playing this week. Not, and it's not because we don't like doing this in every show week. We love doing this. We love answering questions, but to really consider moving that final week back into week 17, so you don't have to do that. Now, those are the teams that are clearly going to rest some of their starters slash key players. But then you have
hmm
situations like the Texans who might play their starters. They have nothing to play for. It might play their starters for like
yeah,
half a game, which hurts the starters and the backups for playing them. The Patriots might not play Drake May the whole game. You may see some Joe Milton today. The Packers will probably be scoreboard watching if the Commanders get off to a decent lead against the Cowboys. Then they might not play all their people to the full extent. In fact, even Josh Jacobs just came out and said he doesn't know if he's going to get a full workload this week.
right.
And then speaking of the Cowboys, we're going to supposed to see a heavy dose of Trey Lance this week. The
We all
49ers
want
are going
that.
with Yeah, the 49ers are going with Josh Dobbs. So with Purdy's injuries and so anyway, just a lot of reasons to be extra careful here as you're setting your lineups this week and or just not playing in week 18 at all.
Yeah, that's a good point. Just because the coaches have come out and said their guys are playing doesn't mean they're playing the entire game. That's another issue we kept running into by waiting this late for a championship.
Yeah. You have folks activated from IR this past week on the offensive side of the ball. You had Dallas Goddard activated from IR. You had Austin Eckler activated from IR this week. But in both cases, with both teams in the playoffs, do I think they'll get introduced back into the lineups a little bit? I think they'll play a little bit, but not much, just to get their feet wet, for lack of a better term. Let it get a hit or two, and then not have them play at all. So
Yeah.
that's my speculation. All right, Sean, I am going to catch you in the code here. We have a question that just came in from Dale. We'll get to in a second. But who was your biggest IDP disappointment this year?
Oh
There's
man.
there's a big list, and I know we didn't prep this before the call, but I just thought uh, we'd uh, we'd throw one out there for the audience. There's folks like C.J. Mosley, Quincy Williams, for that matter, as
I would
examples.
say, yeah, Quincy's probably a bigger disappointment because Mosley did deal with some injury to, if it's injury related, I can't really call them disappointments. It's more of a run of bad luck. But yeah, Quincy Williams was a big letdown, especially as high as he was, being drafted. Even Al Shire, I know he was injured a bit, suspended, but the games he was on the field, they just weren't what we were accustomed to in previous years. So a little bit of letdown there as well. Um,
Foye Aluakon is another
that's
name that comes to mind.
the whole Jaguars defense is just a mystery this year. The way they're rotating the safeties around, rotating the linebackers, moving linebackers down on the line instead of having play more off ball. It was just a weird situation. I would like to see that cleaned up next year for sure. Otherwise, I'm not drafting these guys at all.
All right. So during the off season, hopefully you'll be joining me for a few shows here when we're going to talk about outlooks for 2025. We'll talk about some dynasty stuff as well. But Dale's got 3 questions in here. So Dale has been a regular. And so let's go ahead and get to his questions. They happen to be all offense today, but that's okay. We're taking offense. We're taking IDP, everybody, if you're watching. And I do see we have more eyeballs watching than I expected, which is great. So Dale, he said pick 2 out of Breece Hall, Jonathan Taylor, Rico Dowdle, or J.K. Dobbins.
Oh man. Well,
That's not bad for Week 18.
Not bad, but which do we expect to actually play and to play a full game, or to get us a couple touchdowns and then get pulled out? Can you expect that?
I don't. When I look at this list and the teams I went through earlier in the show,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think any of these guys are going to get pulled out. The Chargers are trying to play for that better seed. The Rico Dowdle and the Cowboys, even though it's Trey Lance at quarterback, which might be one of the reasons I'll push him down a little bit. But they plan to play their players. The Colts, there's been no sign from Steichen that they won't play their players, and the same with Jets. Now, doesn't mean that can't change for any of these, but I think we can rank these based on just their merit themselves.
Dobbins concerns me because of how injured he has been. I could see them not pushing him to a full workload today. Maybe just enough to keep him loose, kind of involved, but I would be a bit concerned about him playing too much just because of the injury concerns. Gus Edwards already being out. They got to have a running back for, next week in the playoffs. So that one concerns me a bit.
I have to admit, I like the first 2 on this list. I like Taylor against the Jags, and I like Breece Hall going against the Dolphins.
Yeah, Taylor for sure.
Yeah, wouldn't it be Jets like to win their last game, hurt their positioning for a draft choice as well, and just like Aaron Rodgers to do that, and Aaron Rodgers is going to be trying to get that 500 touchdown pass. He wants to get it to Devontae Adams. You could see them trying to light things up through the air. So I see a good game here, and particularly if Tua is not playing, which it looks like he won't be.
Yeah, he's supposed to be out.
Yeah, I like the Hall and Taylor combo in this one. Sean?
I'm definitely on Taylor. I'm not completely scared off of Dowdle just yet, but Hall, like you say, with it being the Devontae Adams show there, I'm worried they're not going to run enough, or maybe throw some Allen in there as well. I'm going to go Taylor and Dowdle on this one. I feel a little more comfortable with that situation.
So unfortunately, Dale, we're going to split it on you. Sean's leaning Taylor Dowdle. I'm going Taylor and Hall. Okay. And good luck with that final selection. But we did rule out Dobbins. Okay. Dale is also asking here. Ooh, this is why we don't like to play Week 18. Aiden O'Connell, Spencer Rattler, or Jimmy Garoppolo. Man, I cannot trust. Okay, so it's who do you trust the most out of this least?
I trust O'Connell actually the most out of this.
I do too. I went back and watched the Saints game. I think most people know I'm a Saints fan here, and oof.
It must have been rough again.
The second half was brutal. Rattler actually did okay in the first half, but the second half was pretty brutal. not trusting Garoppolo with all the most important weapons being on the bench and them not really having anything to play for. Then it probably includes backup offensive linemen and only a few of the starters going in case only if there happens to be some injuries or whatever. So O'Connell is the one for me, and it's really not that close.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. In fact, the order he has them listed is the order I would rank them.
I would agree with you on that. So Dale, we're aligned on this, and we're going Aiden O'Connell for you. And he's got one more for us. Calvin Ridley, as Tennessee goes against the Texans, or Marvin Mims, as Denver plays against the Chiefs, who are playing a lot of their backups, and Tennessee playing Houston, who doesn't have anything to play for. And Tennessee, by the way, it was notated that Levis is going to start,
Yeah,
and he's been better for Ridley than Rudolph has been. But they also said they're going to platoon
yep,
Levis and Rudolph. And I know you live in Tennessee, so you probably heard more about this than I have.
yeah. It's a mess in Tennessee. I think
Mims
it
has been
does.
used more and more in unique ways in this Sean Payton lineup. He's been using him more and more.
Yeah, he also has return usage if you get points for that. Uh, he does have some return yardage. And Ridley has been really up and down. If the Texans keep their starters in, they've actually been a little tough with Stingley covering people. Last there's no pushover either. I'll take Mims.
You're going
I
to
think
go with
that's.
Mims.
I think I'm going to go with Mims.
I I do like the way he's been playing. I'm not expecting two more touchdowns this week.
Right.
Um, but I have a bad feeling. Even though the game's at Tennessee and Houston doesn't have anything to play for, I just have a bad feeling with this rotation of quarterbacks. I'd rather take the chance on the team that's really playing for a playoff hunt as well, and who they're creatively using more and more. And to your point, if there's points for return yards, even all the more reason I would go with Mims as well if he has that in his league. Okay.
We're expecting some rain and thunderstorms today as well. I don't know how much will be affected up in Nashville. I know they were calling for chances of freezing rain and all up that way, so that may factor in a little bit.
So if that does happen, do you think that bodes better for Ridley or Mims in either way, the frozen rain? It feels like Mims, they've been scheming a few touches out of the backfield for him, helps him maybe a little bit more.
Mhm.
Um, Ridley, they have done some stuff with some reverses with him. I'm not sure it's going to play out either way to help either one based on as I was just thinking through it right there. But do you feel differently?
I could see it being more of a Pollard and Spears game, and maybe coming away from some of the passes, depending on just how cold it is. And if there is some precipitation, making it harder to catch the ball and whatnot, I could see it hurting Ridley a little more. Where Mims, like they're a little more used to that. I would say if they get snow and whatnot.
All right, fair enough. Okay, then Dale also says here, trying to hold on to the lead on to first in my league. And thanks for all your help every week. Liked and sub. Thank you, Dale, for subbing.
Awesome.
We really appreciate that. And we do hope we help you with the right decisions to hold on to first in your league. Really, really do.
Look, we helped one, Ricky. We did it.
18 weeks and we got one to a championship. Just kidding. Hopefully, we got a lot more there last week and all. So, Sean, we talked about. Well, I'll wait to see if we have a few more questions here, and everybody, we won't go the full hour if we don't get a lot more questions in or whatever. But
Yeah.
we will hang in there and to wait a little bit longer in case we get some folks that do have to join a little bit late. So we'll go at least to the 35 minute mark here. But Sean, in terms of IDP surprises this year, we were talking about IDP disappointments. One of the ones that came to my mind was Montez Sweat. He
Sure.
finished the
Yeah.
year so fantastically in Chicago last year. Expected big things out of him this year, and he pooped the bed, for lack of a better term. Thoughts?
That's the nicest way to put it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he was probably projected a low end, you know, edge one or high edge two, I would say. Yeah, it's just very weird that he just completely disappeared for most of the season. Like I said, it wasn't injury related either. Just I don't know if he was really being double teamed that much or what happened on that one.
So now let's go to surprises. And so I'll stretch out the description here to give you a chance to think about some of the surprises this year. But there were a heck of a lot of surprises this year on the IDP front, um, both in the defensive back and in the linebacker positions in particular. Maybe not quite so much at the safety. I mean, on the defensive line, I guess there was a couple. But let's start with the linebacker position. Uh, who was obviously one of your biggest surprises this year?
Jamie Sherwood, was not expecting him to take over. And let's be clear with this. Mosley was hurt and then came back and was healthy and was not giving his job back. They kept putting him on the injured list, but Sherwood took his job. Is what happened. And yeah, it came out of nowhere. We really wasn't expecting it. And one of the top tacklers in the league. I believe he's like top 5 or so.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact numbers, but he's definitely near the top.
Yeah.
Another name to throw out there is Zach Bond with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Again, out of nowhere. This guy was played down your way in this, New Orleans. There, the Saints, and I guess just misplaced or put in a bad position to not succeed. Goes to Philly and just has a fantastic season, both with tackles, sacks, turnovers. Yeah, a really complete season out of him. And I'll give Nakobe Dean credit. I thought he would be a bust. I didn't see much coming out of college for him. And his rookie season was not the greatest. And I wasn't expecting much other than him being a bust. And he looked really good this year. Not just from an IDP standpoint, but also in the games. I thought he really stepped up. So I apologize if he's watching.
Yeah, so you talked about the Saints, and interesting enough, there was a gentleman who did fairly well in Atlanta by the name of Caden Ellis, and both he and Zach Bond have left the Saints in the last couple of years, and the Saints have stuck with the solid but elderly Demario Davis,
They're
and
going to
then
have to.
they did an extension with Pete Werner as well during this past offseason.
They need a complete overhaul of defense. I love Cam Jordan, been a fantastic player, but he's old. He's a rotation guy now at best. And we can see linemen like that come in and still produce, but you're only going to start them in completely desperate situations. Demario Davis, awful long of tooth as well. Pete Werner is just a guy. Tyrann Mathieu, his best years are way behind him.
Yep.
The injuries at corners and the other safety positions, they need a lot of work down in New Orleans. Colin Saunders is a good starting point to build around.
Yeah. What's interesting, we talked about Bowen and Ellis and Sherwood as 3 of the biggest surprises at linebacker. 2 of those 3, Sherwood and Bowen, are both free agents coming up this year. So it'll be interesting to see. And what's always interesting is that, particularly when you get into IDP, defensive schemes matter, and how players are utilized absolutely matters. We see that in safeties in particular, in terms of, you look at the Colts defensive coordinator. I want to keep on saying Dan Quinn. I know it's not Dan Quinn. It is
Bradley.
Gus Bradley. Thank you. And Bradley uses that single high coverage, and he brings one of those safeties closer to the line, which all originally during the preseason looked like it was going to be Blackman close to line and Cross playing the deep role, and then they flip flopped him. And look at what it did for Cross's productivity this year.
Right.
If Steichen doesn't survive, or if Bradley doesn't survive, and they bring in a whole new defensive coordinator, Nick Cross, who people might be targeting as a top three kind of safety next year, might not have that type of viability next year.
Do not get too attached to defensive backs. That's the best advice I can give anybody on that. Uh, it's so volatile from year to year. Schemes, injuries create these guys moving around as well, and just you can't predict it. Guys like there's a few Derwin James, Antoine Winfield, Buda Baker. Those guys are consistently in that top tier. Those are about the only guys I would really put any real stock into. The others are either injury prone or pop off for one season and kind of disappear.
Yep. So the repeat rate of top 12 safeties over the past several years, do you know out of the top 12 what that number is?
It's
On
low. I'd say it's single digits.
it is three, and
3.
and it's
Wow.
about and it's about 1.5 to 2 at the cornerback position.
Yeah, Toner is even worse.
Exactly right. And so the when it comes to those positions, it's last year I think there were 15 new defensive coordinators, if I'm remembering correctly, and it's something we do notice, but we don't pay as much attention to in the IDP space as we're doing our projections and our rankings. We mean more generic paper across the industry. I'm not saying that about IDP Plus, but
We're slightly better than that.
we are slightly better than that because we know these types of things. And if you subscribe and pay attention to us, you will learn these great things. Um, and we will dissect some of those coaching changes and the free agent movements and the rookie draft picks as the year goes on. And we will let you know who to draft and who to let fall in the draft and let people overdraft as a result. But Dale was nice enough to throw in another question here. He's asking, what are both your Super Bowl picks and the winner?
I would like to see the Ravens versus the Buccaneers.
You would like to see. Now that's
I would like
different.
to see
That's different than a pick.
that. I expect the Ravens to win it all this year.
Oh, wow. Okay. And what is it that you think they're gonna take the mantle from the Chiefs, even the AFC, let alone from a Super Bowl perspective?
Isaiah likely will be wearing white shoes this time, and they will tie it up and win. I really think the Ravens are doing fantastic with their scheme as far as using Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. I think Lamar Jackson is the MVP this year. The defense has gotten better with their benching of Trenton Simpson and using Chris Ford and Malik Harrison a little more in the run stuffing department and allowing Roquan Smith to take on some other roles as well. I really think they're coming together just fine. Michael Pierce is a ball hawk now, and that's all I need to get behind him.
Very, very interesting. Now, since the last time they played, too, on the one hand, the Ravens' defense has changed significantly with them moving Hamilton to that more deeper safety role, which has clearly hurt his IDP production and
Sure.
all. But at the same time, it's helped the Ravens' defense overall. On the other hand, the Chiefs have added Hopkins, they've added Juju, they've brought back Marquise. Actually, I should say brought back.
Brown.
He's returned from injury, Marquise Brown. With Pacheco being hurt, they added Kareem Hunt as well, and that was one of the Hunt's early games, and he didn't really have much preseason time with him and so forth. So there's an argument for the Chiefs there as well. Would I like to see someone different? I don't disagree with you.
Just taking the
Uh,
Chiefs though.
I It's a great question. There,
They're
there,
they're
there's,
they
there,
have a very solid defense. In fact, I feel like the defense is their team. That's their identity right now. Is strong defense and a capable offense instead of an excelling offense.
The Zay Flowers knee injury makes me nervous. And until we understand more about that, if Flowers is injured and can't go, I would pull away from the Ravens. Um, right now, though, there also seems to be something special about the Bills. And uh,
Yeah, the Bills have the most probably team oriented offense where there is no one just true superstar outside of Josh Allen. All the running backs are involved, all the receivers are involved. It's a very selfless offense.
and on defense, they're getting healthy at the right time. They're getting their safeties back, got their linebackers back. Bernard's a little bit banged up, but they expect him to play here in the playoffs. So, boy, there's those three teams stand out above. Uh, Dale just added he's picking the Ravens over the Lions, and we
Attaboy.
haven't. We'll get to the NFC here in a second. And I think the Chiefs' time is going to run out. I do. It just does. It feels like it's too much to get over the hump. So, but I am actually leaning the Bills right now. Just there, that's what my gut says. So okay, you got one Bills and one Ravens. And Dale, one of the things we'll tell you is, clearly we haven't done our playoff brackets yet and our playoff pools yet for fantasy. So it's a great question because we were getting ready for 18. Let's shift over to the NFC. Uh, Lions and Vikings, of course, big game tonight. Sean,
Yeah.
could go either way in terms of one being the 1 seed and one all the way to the 5 seed and having to go on the road. Anzalone I believe he was activated from IR yesterday, if I saw correctly, and is expected to play.
I do not know, if I'm being honest.
All right.
I know there was talks of bringing Hutchinson back in time for a Super Bowl
Super Bowl.
if they get that far.
All right, I tell you what, I'm going to do a quick. Let's see who can win in terms of get to the Detroit Lions. Alexander Zaloni to be limited, but will play in Week 18, according to Ian
Will
Rappaport.
play. Let's give him a few reps in.
Yeah, I thought I saw that he got activated off IR yesterday on the Saturday. So, who? Lions, Vikings, Packers, Commanders, Rams,
Buccaneers. Ooh.
Bucks. You're still going. You're sticking with the Bucks call.
I would like to see them in there. I think their offenses can be just as dynamic. Baker Mayfield is having a great season, and he is making it with whoever is at wide receiver, whoever is at tight end, whichever running back he needs to hand off or throw to. Uh, it's that offense, I think, is for real. It's their defense that is their Achilles heel. That secondary in particular.
So here's how I think it's going to play out. I think Minnesota beats Detroit at Detroit tonight, and Minnesota secures the number 1 seed. And with that happening, then Detroit and Tampa Bay will play in round 1, and I think Detroit's passing attack would destroy the Bucks secondary. So
Absolutely.
I don't see the Bucks. So that's what I see happening there. So I don't see the Bucks.
I think Tampa can keep up on offense, and it will come down to whoever's got the ball last in that scenario.
I don't think the Bucks will put up 40-something points, though. I could be wrong, but I think they'll have to put up over 40 to beat the Lions in that game, and I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, that's very fair. Realistically, the best teams in the NFC are playing tonight, I think.
Yeah. So
no in the Eagles.
No hope for the Rams. No, and I was coming to the Eagles.
The Rams, I thought they were getting hot at the right time, but that offense has been stymied here lately. It's not the powerhouse we thought it was. That defense, though, it is young, and I really like how they're building that front seven, especially the front line. They have a great base, but it's not their year.
Yeah. The Cooper Kupp seems to have fallen off the face of the earth these last few weeks.
Yeah.
And so it is the Puka show, which really hurts their offense as well. If teams can figure out how to control him. In the last game, he went 8 for 80 something, which was still 16 fantasy points for us, but not what the Rams need to advance in the playoffs.
Those are Cup's numbers. Puka was more the big play guy. Still got a lot of big passes, but that 8 for 86, that's what you would expect for Cooper Kupp plus whatever Puka could put on top of that. So it's really shifted there.
So just we've added several more eyeballs that are watching here. So just so y'all know, we are going to take questions. We haven't had a ton of questions. We'll take questions about 10 more minutes or so if we get any more in. But in the meantime, we'll finish answering Dale's question here about the Super Bowl picks and all. And by the way, if you have a dynasty question you want to throw out there or things along those lines, we happen to have that discussion as well. So the Eagles, do you see the Eagles beating any of the Vikings or the Lions or the Packers?
Assuming Hurts is healthy, they could. I'm just a little worried about their defense as well, being able to stop anybody. I know Gardner Johnson can be a difference maker, both positive and negative, if he is on the field. That pass rush, if it's hitting on all cylinders, they could take down a team like the Lions.
Do you really trust Jalen Hurts right now?
No, I don't. It's Saquon that would be the driving force of this. That's why you would have to have a healthy Jalen Hurts and a fully capable Jalen Hurts, and I don't think they have that right now.
Yeah.
It feels like it's going to be a wasted season for as good as Saquon played.
Yeah. The Lions, excuse me, I I just have this feeling that the Eagles defense, they're actually playing better than I expected as the years has progressed. Fangio's done a fantastic job, and the new rookie cornerbacks getting acclimated, and the two linebackers that we talked about earlier. I think the Lions would outscore them in a shootout, quite frankly. But it all depends on matchups. If it's Hurts against the Vikings, I could see the Eagles beating the Lions, but I could see Brian Flores' defense really
Yeah.
confusing the hell out of Hurts and causing that to cost the Eagles the game. There's a piece of me in the gut that says the Eagles are going to implode and win their playoff games, and it's going to lead to Sirianni being fired.
He is implosive himself, so I could definitely see that. That would be very characteristic. He's I don't know. I find him unstable as a coach and not just a full leader, and it bothers me.
Yeah, anybody that's getting involved in the stands with fans and all just doesn't strike me as someone I'd want leading my team as well. So I think he's going to crack under pressure. They're going to screw things up or whatever, and I think he's going to be gone. So I'm ruling out the Eagles because I don't trust Hurts if he has to throw the ball, and because of Sirianni. So and the Vikings look pretty damn dominant against the Packers. Are we going to trust Sam Darnold to take them all the way? You're picking the Bucks, so I'm not thinking so.
Well, because I could see a defensive guru take down Sam Darnold, and Todd Bowles has his moments of brilliance. Steve Spagnuolo, those guys, even if they made it to the Super Bowl, I think it would be terrible for Darnold because those guys are very good defensive coaches and would probably expose him in ways we haven't seen yet. I see Darnold being capable of winning one game and probably falling apart the next.
Ooh, that's really interesting. That'll throw all kind of off-season narratives into play for the Vikings with Darnold versus McCarthy, etc. So Dale's also saying Chiefs versus the Vikings is also maybe with Chiefs winning. All right, so you're going to
We don't
stick
like
with
that. Yeah. We don't like that.
You don't like that. So you're going to stick with your Ravens or Bucks even after all this discussion. Ravens over.
I expect, Ravens for sure. I would love to see the Bucks in there, but realistically, yeah, I'm gonna stick with it. I'll stick with it. I could see the Bucks pulling off a couple upsets here against teams they've already beat. So they do have that confidence, I think, and I think they can match up with some of these teams pretty well.
All right. Oh, we didn't talk about Jaden Daniels and my Commanders, by the way.
Oh, they're probably the wildest card on the NFC side.
Yeah,
One,
I just think they're a little bit too young. I
I
don't
do
think they
too.
have enough weapons on
Yep.
offense. But Jaden Daniels can maybe pull a rabbit out of the hat one of these games. You never
It,
know.
they could win one or
They
two,
could
but
win. They could win one. I don't see him winning even two in this.
it's tough. It's tough. I really like how they've brought Daniels along and developed him this year.
Agreed. All right, so you've got your call of Ravens versus Bucks.
Yeah, it feels right.
I'm gonna go Bills Vikings
Bills Vikings.
with Josh Allen winning the Super Bowl MVP, leading the Bills to a victory.
Hmm. What could have been, Ricky? Until Derrick Henry showed up and put 200 yards on him.
We'll see if that's repeatable or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
well, well, Sean
It's
is.
some really
Oh,
good
go ahead.
matchups. I am really excited about a lot of these games. More so the NFC. I feel like the matchups are way more exciting overall as opposed to the AFC. I feel it's more top heavy.
Yeah,
Um,
I think round one of the AFC is going to be kind of a eh, so. But I think that
yeah,
round two in the AFC is
that's
going to be
yeah,
really exciting, but I think the NFC will be exciting throughout to your part because I think the Commanders will
right.
give whoever a good game week one. I think the Bucks will give someone a good game, et cetera. So I'm right there with you on that. Okay.
Yeah,
All right. So we're about 38 minutes in, and we don't have any other questions, Sean. So we'll start to wrap it up. And first, I want to thank you and at Michael __ Sicoli. And also, Dynasty Santa actually stepped in for 1 week as well to help us out. So I want to thank
sir.
all of you for joining and being there for our listening audience to help with their start sit questions. And hopefully, we did help many teams to championships and all. And based on some of the comments we've seen through the years and all, I mean, through the weeks, we have helped a lot of people to win some games and win some championship, which is fantastic. So thank you, Sean, for joining us. First thing we'll say. Second thing is I want to thank our loyal audience that even on today on week 18, having about 100 people watching and all, even if they might not have any questions have answered or whatever, listening in because I guess there's entertainment value as well that's coming out of this, Sean. And they might pick up some things that they didn't know about, like repeat rates and safeties and cornerbacks, which we talked about earlier as an example. So anyway, thank you all to our listening audience. Also, for those that have been watching the IDP Plus Advice Show, thank you for watching that as well and for all your comments and loyalty. Really appreciate that. We do ask that you join the IDP Plus family still. The promo code PROPS will get you 20% off. We have different subscription packages, monthly, annual, etc., with annual being the best package, of course. We will be doing off-season content. If you follow us at IDP Plus on X/Twitter, follow me at Ricky Rod 66. I will have Sean as a guest from time to time. Put at Sean 8386. We are going to take a couple of weeks off before we start diving into some of the rookies and so forth, and looking back at the years and so forth. But be on the lookout for some tweets from that, and we'll do those shows. And some of them we will pre-record. Some of them we'll do live, so you can get your comments and questions in as well. Okay. So thank you for a fantastic 2024 season. Sean, any final comments that you'd like to add?
Yeah, so if you join IDP Plus, get in the Discord, we're there to help for drafts, slow drafts, live drafts. So if we can be on there at that time, we're here to help walk anybody through anything or talk some picks over. I feel like that's a very helpful aspect that we have, especially in the Discord, outside of trade helps and start sit questions there too. So Yeah, if you need some help come draft time, rookies coming up and all that, we have some very skilled guys that are big into the college aspect, understand everything about dynasties, some real geniuses in here. So, yeah, don't be scared to
Yeah.
use them.
We have some of our members, that's a great call out, that actually go down to the Senior Bowl, watch all the practices live, get interviews of some of the rookies and all. I remember there was a great interview with Peyton Wilson that sticks out in my head from last year as well. So, with that, we thank you all very much. Be safe, be good to one another. For those playing today, good luck and bring home the championship. And look forward to helping you off season and getting you ready for the 2025 season. Take care, everybody. Bye.